morning, YouTubers. Um, I've been thinking about this one for a long time, and about sending money to your Filipina or to your Filipinas family back in the Philippines. And in fact, I did a video the other day on this, and I didn't like the way it turned out, so I came back and going to try this again. So hopefully my second try will be better than my first. So, you hear on the internet from a plethora of people, never bring your Filipina to America. Never give your Filipina any money, especially when she's in the Philippines. Don't ever send her any. And never, ever, by any means, send money to her family. And I've read horror stories about that. And it's like, people got to use their head. So I'm going to paint the picture for you. And then you determine in your own heart what's right for you. Okay? That's probably the best way to get through this, rather than relying on Bob's uncle's cousin's brother got ripped off by a Filipina and so forth and so on, like you hear on the internet. And maybe you've even known someone personally that it's happened to. But it's a case by case basis. It's not all Filipinas or all Americans or all British or whoever it may be. So let me start as to why I feel the way I do. Okay. I'm old enough to remember in America when everybody helped everybody else. We didn't have 911. In fact, we didn't even have buses to go to school when I was a boy until I was, I think, 10 or 11 years old. So we walked. But, and no, it wasn't uphill both ways, but it was really steep going one way. and it was always cold. But anyways, so we helped each other, and things aren't like they were today. When our next door neighbors, Flighters, got a new car in 1966, a white Pontiac Catalina, we all went, the whole neighborhood went over there to see that new car. It was absolutely gorgeous. The gauges in the dash were like at a 45-degree angle, all chrome, and the interior was red, and it had that plastic bubble wrap seat covers of the 60s. It was really a neat car. And the next year, my Uncle George bought a Dodge. I think it was a Polara convertible. And that was a red car with white interior, but a convertible. And we rode around the neighborhood, my Uncle George, my dad, and I in the back seat. We rode around waving at everybody like maybe we were the Kennedys. I don't know. But that kind of sets the stage at how different life used to be in this country. When we would take road trips, my mom and dad would pack sandwiches. We had a big Ford station wagon, a 9-passenger wagon, and we would pull over to a rest area on the side of the road. And generally speaking, it was a place to pull the car over and a couple picnic tables. And we would have a little picnic. We didn't go to any fast food places because there were none. And generally speaking, if someone else saw you there having a picnic, they would stop and enjoy chatting with you and maybe take a break or have a picnic too. So things were much, much different, and our families were so much tighter. We would used to go to my Uncle Bill and Aunt Laura's, and we would do pheasant hunts when I was a boy. And my God, the women would just, I don't know how many pies they made, and things in the Nesco, and it was great, other than they didn't have dogs back then, pheasant dogs. It was us kids that chased the pheasants up, but oh well, it's the way it was. And my Uncle Bill, come haying season, we'd always go to my Uncle Bill's and help him with haying, things of that nature. And somewhere along the way, we lost all of that. Now we've got the 911. If the neighbor's house is on fire, call 911. Who gives a shit? Oh, they'll take care of it. I see somebody tipped over in the road, call 911. The rescue squad will come. And things made our country far more impersonal. And there again, that can be a personal choice. I mean, I know people that have lived in a neighborhood for several years and they don't know their neighbors. That's not like it is here where I live. We bought this home and we kept getting gifts on our porch with nice letters, One was up like a wire basket with wine and cheese and so forth. And if we ever needed anything, give them a call. You know, others, we had boxes of candy and just wonderful, wonderful neighbors on this road. And our next door neighbor to the east of us, uh, I helped them with their snow removal. They've helped me. They took care of our animals when we were in the Philippines last July. They're great people. And I know that they're always there to help and vice versa. The neighbors to my west, wonderful people. They're both teachers, and we see them every day walking their dogs and the two little kids. And then we got another gentleman down the road a little ways, and he comes and he helps plow if the snow is really deep. And reminds me I have to take his wife fishing this year because he works a lot. And he said, my wife loves to fish, take her fishing. So maybe my wife and his wife can get together and we'll go fishing. But see, we know our neighbors, and we choose to live that way. And in modern America, we've lost a lot of that. And I know that there's a lot of people that can relate to that. So then we decide we're going to go to the Philippines. But somehow we get tangled up with a Filipina, however that may be. That there's 100 different ways to be entwined, to be pulled over to the Philippines. So you go over to the Philippines and you get off the plane and you notice, oh my God, everyone is they're so happy and they're so friendly. Everyone. I mean, my God, you almost have to sit on your hands to keep from waving at people. And you go, this is absolutely wonderful. Well, then you get involved with that little Filipina, and then you find out just how wonderful the family is. And for a lot of you that may or may not pay attention, because I do know a few guys that just don't seem to pay attention or get it, that family bond and ties are stronger than you're ever going to be with them. So if you get involved with a Filipino, word to the wise, don't try to isolate her from her family because that's not going to work out well for you. So now you met this Filipina and you're really, really excited about being part of that family, so to speak. And everybody is so nice to you, and it's almost overwhelming at times. Well, if you want to step back and analyze some of that family, a lot of them family members have been overseas workers for many years, sending money home just so the rest could live. And I'm not going to discuss who in a family may or may not be capable or don't want to work. We're not getting into any of that. I just want to explain how some of that works. So let's take my wife in particular. My wife was an overseas worker. Her mother was raising my stepson Ish, and her ex. They were both taking care of Ish when he was young. And then finally she came home about 5.5 years ago. Well, lo and behold, here I come. Well, I want 100% attention from this girl. She went down and she was trying to get into a call center because she was a nanny in Turkey. And I just said, don't do that. Don't do that. I'll send you some money so you could stay home and be with your son that you haven't been with for many years. And I know some people can call me a fool, call me stupid or whatever it might be. That's okay. I'm okay with the decision. It wasn't a lot of money to me anyway. And it helped her build the ties that she needed with her son. So we fast forward here about a month or so ago, a month and a half ago. I had contemplating I was making this video, and Greg and Wilma from Building the Philippines happened to make a video about foreign overseas workers. So I clicked on and I watched them because we're friends with Wilma and Greg, wonderful people. And Wilma was talking about how much money she sent home, and that she sent 90% of her money home every month to support the family. And my wife hasn't talked a lot about her overseas time, other than she was mistreated at a place and she actually escaped in the middle of the night. And that was from Cyprus. And she traveled to Turkey uh, and found better work. So I said, honey, did you send 90% of your money home? And she said, oh yes, maybe even more. I didn't have enough money to buy a pair of shoes. Now, I think about that. And I think, here's this young woman. She's all by herself. She's a long way from home, sending all of her money back to support the family, and she can't buy a pair of shoes. I don't know if I've ever met anyone like that in America before. Maybe I have, but I don't recall it. That's just an unbelievable gift, an unbelievable sacrifice for the family. And she helped her youngest brother with his supplies to get through college. And she was saving because she wanted to buy a lot for her mother because her mother has never owned a home. Now, you can't, I can't imagine someone being more admirable than that. And the more I learned about that with my wife, the more I loved her. I said, wow, you know, sometimes we tend to put ourselves on a pedestal and, we're the all feared Americans and we've got the money and they don't have anything. And, we had opportunities that they were never akin to. And so they've understood what suffering is. So we fast forward to today. My wife now, we live together here in the United States, as you all know if you follow the channel. And we send money every month to support her mother. Now I read all of these terrible things on the internet about never sending money back to the Philippines. Don't ever start sending the family money. You'll regret it because they'll ask for more. And it's like, in our experience, when I removed my wife from the overseas work, someone had to replace that. There's generational support in the Philippines because if you're aware or not, when you get older in the Philippines, there's no work for you. They can discriminate, and they outright discriminate. It's legal there. If you want a job in the mall, they want you to be 30 years old, thin and pretty. And they'll say that right on there. They can discriminate. So as an elderly woman, a woman that might be in her 60s, what are you gonna do? Sell bottled water in traffic? You know what I'm saying? Maybe grow some vegetables somewhere and try to sell them at a market. It's a meager existence. So when I asked my wife to come here and we get married, I knew that I needed to step in. And that's part of what a family does. Because when I married my wife, know it or not, I married into that family. Now, what kind of a person would I be if I chose to marry my wife and take her away from that family? They would lose any support. I don't know where they would get their next meal from. And I would just refuse to give them anything while I ride around in my new Yukon or snowmobiles or whatever it might be. You know what I mean? It's pretty low, man. I can't be that guy. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it bothers me. I have to send money every month, and I'm not the only guy that has. And I have complained to my wife in the past, and all it ever does is it's just hurt her. And and I complain because of the lack of understanding, of how hard it is for someone to actually get a job at that age. And my wife's mother in particular, her job was eliminated at the University of Cebu. It wasn't her choice just to quit her job. It's just the way the cards fell. And so if you've got a family member that's sacrificing 90% of their income living in a foreign country to support the family, or you have another family member somewhere else working downtown and giving all their money to the family, that's the family ties that we used to have in America. We used to all help each other. And then somewhere along the way, we lost all of that. And now what we do is we make instant judgments, because as long as we judge, it eliminates all responsibility. You know, when you see someone that might be homeless and they're packing a pack and they're dirty, instantly you go, oh, they're lazy, they're stupid, or they're a drug addict, or they're a criminal, and you don't ever stop to help. And I'm not saying that individual may or may not have been, but we make that judgment instantaneously, and it eliminates all responsibility. And I said that to a buddy here several months ago. We were in the Philippines and we were chatting, and I had told him that I had made that mistake with a woman and her small children, and I was just so ashamed of myself. And I've learned since then, you know, and now I do the right thing. And I try not to judge. That's probably the hardest thing in your life, is thou shalt not judge. Oh my, we do it every day, all day long. You know, we don't even realize how much we do that. But, you know, it's try not to judge. So now my wife's youngest brother, he works on a cruise ship. He's an entertainment director, and he's doing wonderfully well. And he's a great kid, got a heart of gold. And he's saving up money to buy a home for his mother. And so him and I split the responsibility of giving her mother and her other son, Patrick, a house to live in and food to eat. And it's not a lot of money every month. I mean, I know guys that spend $200 or $300 a week in a bar, for Christ's sake. You know, I don't send that much over to the Philippines every month, but I know guys that spend it every week here in the bar without batting an eye, you know. And it's like, you know, you can choose what you want to do with your life. And, you know, helping someone else sometimes is it's actually a greater reward to you personally than it is to the individual that's receiving it. And so when you hear them things about, you know, don't ever send your Filipina any money, don't ever get involved with sending the family money, they'll take you for a ride. In my experience, that's so far from the truth. My wife's family are good people. They're wonderful people. They've never asked me for a dime, you know. I mean, I did take them up to the Highlands last time we were there and had a wonderful dinner, and they were elated, you know. They made them all so happy, and in return, of course, it made me happy. And to explain that, that was, I think, 12 or 13 people with everything you can imagine, including drinks, and it was 105 American dollars. We went out for fish last night, a couple sodas, 3 fish plates, and a couple beers, and it was $73 plus an $8 tip, you know. So, you know what I mean? What the hell was $105? And it was a gift that I rightfully needed to give them. When we arrived there, even though they have nothing, they had enough food there to feed us all and make us comfortable. So you got to take them things that are being said on the internet with a grain of salt. Use your own head, use your own heart. You know, if you meet a young gal and you know, you're chatting with her 2 weeks and she says she needs a new iPhone, well, you know, you can discount that. I'll tell you that. I was fortunate because I was very naive when I found Christine. You know, I made a few mistakes. I got scammed a couple of times, you know. Oh well. But I was very naive, but fortunately that my naivety led me to Christine and her family. I'm not saying that every relationship is going to be that way, but I am just so fed up with hearing all the negativity that every family's that way. And it's like, you know, you got to use common sense, okay? You get off the plane into the Philippines, and you're amassed by Filipinos everywhere. They're all happy. Now, if they were all scammers, I don't quite think they'd be that happy. You know, people with a good heart are really happy. The people that are miserable are not happy. And are there scammers out there? Sure there are. But when you meet your Filipina and you fall in love, and let's say you get to the point that you want all of her attention, and she's an integral part of that family to survive, you better be the one to step in and step up. Because let me tell you, I know many men that have went to the Philippines and refused to do any of that. And then they complain about how bad the Filipino families are. Oh, they're jerks, they're nasty. If you don't give them any money, they want nothing to do with you. It's like, don't you get it? All of these people that you're surrounded by have sacrificed part of their sweat and blood for each other. And then you come in and you have enough, more than enough to spare. You're not sweating or bleeding anything, and you refuse to help. No wonder they look at you that way. And then it's like, shame on you. And I know there might be some that disagree with me, and that's okay. What I do in my life, I do. And if I make a mistake, I'm the one that pays for it. I'm straight up that way. And I just wanted to explain how it got this way. And and one more note, you know, we all have talked about generational support. There again, you hear it all the time, never bring your Filipina to the United States. Oh, she's going to go find a younger man or woman, more money, blah, blah, blah. I know hundreds of Filipinos that are happily married here in the United States to their men, and they've never done such a thing. If you're a good man, you're going to have a good marriage, and vice versa. If she's a good woman, you're going to have a good marriage. So we all know them things, at least most of us do, other than, like I said, a few of the vloggers over in the Philippines that like to keep repeating this over and over to scare the hell out of everybody. It's like, I wanted to bring my wife and her son Ish to the United States, and they'll have their citizenship soon. Ish is going into high school, and when he gets out of high school, he's going to either go to tech school, college, or the military. I'm going to take care of my wife, Christine. So this is where the generational support ends in this family. It ends in this generation. And so there's a lot of guys that complain and talk nasty about what goes on in the Philippines. When you go there, why don't you just try to make a positive change, a positive difference? At least that's what we've tried to do. If you like our videos, hit the like button. Subscribe if you like. And if you do, send us an email. Let us know who we are. I try to make these videos to help everyone the best I can. I'm not perfect, but that's what keeps me going. When I get a little email that say, thank you so much for your kind words or your words of wisdom. So on that note, have a great day. See you again.